Okay guys, moving on to the bishop. So we just looked at the rook. The bishop is actually quite a similar piece to the rook. It's also a long range piece. However, it does not move horizontally and vertically like the rook does. It actually moves diagonally, and diagonally looks like this. So the best way, I believe, to describe what diagonal means in chess terms, a diagonal is a straight line where every single square is the same color. So, for example, if I draw a line from this square here all the way to this square, you can see that every single square on that line is a dark square. Okay? But it's still a straight line. Okay? It's not bending. It's a straight line. I could put a ruler down there and it would be going across all of those squares. So that is what we call a diagonal. Now, a diagonal can also just be a very short one. This is a diagonal from this square to this square. So referring back to pawns, when they move forwards, but when they capture diagonally. So this pawn takes like this. Now bishops only move diagonally, but they can move backwards, forwards, left, right, any direction they want. The only thing that can stop the bishop from moving is if its own piece is in the way. So in this position, this bishop is very sad because it cannot move. Okay? In chess, you cannot jump over pieces. Maybe you've seen that in other games such as checkers or drafts. In chess, you can't do that. So this bishop is what we call blocked or in prison. But let's say this pawn moves here. Now the bishop can escape. And now it's free to move around. And in this position, if it's black to move, black can actually take this piece, this pawn. So unlike pawns, bishops capture in exactly the same way that they move. Okay? Now, one thing you'll also notice about bishops is that they always stay on the same color square. So, going back to the starting position of this capture the flag game, we have our bishops on their starting squares, 3 squares from the edge. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And this black bishop is on a light square. It will always be on a light square for the rest of this game, okay? Because that is simply how bishops move. They move diagonally, and diagonals are all the same color squares. So this will only exist on the light squares. It can never do that. It can never be on a dark square, okay? So maybe that helps you to visualize when you're learning the piece that it must remain on the light squares. This white bishop, on the other hand, starts off on a dark square and it will always exist on a dark square. And you may have noticed these two bishops can never take each other. They can only dance around each other, okay? Because they can never actually meet. So that's a very interesting thing about bishops. On to the next piece.